Hey guys, welcome back to the Interceptor. We're here with another Alliance War video. This is going to be Alliance War Season 59, Number 8, and AOH has matched up against Nefti. These guys are basically always going to be in the top 5, so we know it is another tough matchup. And with us just coming off of 2 losses in a row, getting another tough match of an Alliance well above us in the standings is not exactly how we wanted it to go. But we have a couple really cool fights here, honestly. This fight is actually going to be pretty annoying. This is Spam, and he's on path 5, node 5. And I'm going to be using Angela. You basically just need any attacker that their normal damage cycle works well with them being able to spam special 1. And while it's not optimal with Angela, I would say, to spam special 1 because you normally want to stay above a bar power to get multiple furies, and you can't do that when you're just throwing SP1 as soon as you get it, because you can see how short the fury is here. It's not like super harmful, so I thought this would be an okay matchup. The stun immunity can be a little bit annoying, so you have to reparry constantly, or like parry, dash back, parry again. And because of the nature of how we're playing this, we always have a taunt on us, almost always. And there, I do not know how that hit me. I felt like I dashed back there, but the game did not think I dashed back, so I ended up taking the heavy. Because of the willpower healing we're going to be getting from the taunt, we are actually going to finish this fight at full health. But it was obviously annoying to be taking those hits. And yeah, we're never going to give him any spider nonsense, because as long as you are throwing your special right away, you can't build spider nonsense. That is how he works. So, probably going to go... Oh, I probably could have gone Relic here, but I think we need to bait a special 1. 1 hit into L1. Yeah. Okay, so it's a clean fight. Relatively clean. I think I took hits twice earlier in the fight. There I probably should have gone for another heavy, because that first heavy actually hit pretty hard. But here it looks like the L1 is going to line up well to remove the protection, and then the fight is going to go down right here. So, little bit annoying. Constantly having the taunt on us obviously made that fight significantly longer. But it's okay. We'll go up to our next fight here. This is going to be Nick Fury on Heavy Hitter. This is the 3rd or 4th time I've done this fight with Angela, and I'm going to have to do it at least once more this season that I can remember already. Pretty straightforward fight. This is a fight that doesn't really require a counter anymore. There was a point in time where this was one of the hardest placements you could do on the map, because people just were not used to it, and more specifically, not always used to fighting Nick Fury. But now it's not that bad. It really is not that bad. As long as you, especially the addition of strikers, are a big part of why it's not as bad as it used to be. Because now you get free openings in the second life, so you don't have to worry that much about being able to remove the protection, because you constantly have a knockdown as long as you save your striker. I think I'm going to remember to save my striker here, but it's possible I just use it right here to push to the L2, because that's also a very valid way to use it. What am I doing? I don't know why I'm playing the fight like this. Okay. Wow, that is a weird use of the striker. Okay. I could have just parried there. I don't know why I did that, but it's okay. We're at full health, about to push into second life. Nick Fury is actually being a little bit annoying here, and it did take him quite a bit longer to push into second life than we normally would need in this matchup. There I missed an intercept, take a couple hits, trying to land a light intercept, and we do end up landing it. Throw the special 1 to remove the protection, and the protection actually also affects the amount of damage that he takes from the life model decoy when he degens down to, I think it's 30%, or is it 40%? I don't even remember. Here we are going to perfectly time the special 1 knockdown with the ebb and flow. So he throws an unblockable special 1, and we just hit a quick light intercept, combo into a striker, into a combo and he does go down. But first 2 fights have both been over 2 minutes, so don't love that. I don't really like long fights in Alliance War. They make me a little bit nervous unless I'm using Quake. But we'll go up here and get into section 2. We are going to be on path 1 here. And we are going to be taking this Manthing on high energy diet. And Manthing does nothing to stop Shocker. I'm pretty sure that in this fight, I'm going to make the mistake of only throwing 1 special 1. And because he's a bit of a tankier defender, it's not going to kill. If I recall correctly. But as long as MD doesn't get out of control and you just let Manthing spam special 1s to put a ton of postules on him, he's not really a threatening defender in any meaningful way. So here we're going to bait the L2. I think I'm going to go in for my L2. And yeah, in hindsight, like, this is obviously not going to kill. I don't know why I thought this heavy attack was going to kill. I should have just gone for 1 more special 1, and then the fight would have been basically over. I would have had to bait 1 more special attack, but that's it. Like, that's the only difference. There, I could have thrown the special 1. It would have killed, but we dex out of the L2, and he does go down. So just a little bit longer than that matchup needed to be. Also, I don't know why that Manthing was a rank 3. I feel like Manthing's a good enough defender to warrant a top alliance placing an R4. Like we place R4s. At least in my BG we do. But I don't know. I guess maybe he's not really as useful on defense now as he once was, but there was a point where he was like a real staple of defenses. But our next fight here is on Buffet, and we're taking... Excuse me. We're taking Iron Man Infinity War with Angela, and we are going to be able to ignore the auto block in this fight when we get 3 buffs. But we've yet to crit in the fight, so we still only have 1 buff. And, wow, I said that really strangely. But we get passive bar power, and then there is our crit, so now we have 3. And at this point, we are not ever going to be triggering Buffet, so those charges, the unblockable charges, are only going to go up from the node triggering it, and also we have enough buffs that we will never get auto blocks. You'll notice even when he has 4 or more armor ups, I'm just going to keep hitting into him because Angela's Sig ability just makes it so that she never has to deal with stuff like that, which is really cool. A little bit faster to bait Iron Man Infinity War Special 2 as opposed to his Special 3, just because you can't counter either of them, so if you have to bait 1 special, it should be the one that you have to bait half as many of, right? And I'm pretty sure Iron Man Infinity War in his kit has some crit resist, which is why this fight is being a little bit longer than it normally would. But there's a nice 53k crit. Gonna go for another heavy 51k crit, and at this point I did not have enough buffs to remove all of the armor ups, so I didn't throw the special 1, but I think right here I'm just gonna go for an... Okay, cool, and that does kill. So yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's not the fastest fight. That's probably a fight in hindsight I should have turned on recoils for. But it's okay. Let's go on to the minis now. We are going to be taking Node 38 Shocker with Angela, and I am actually going to make one pretty significant mistake in this fight. And you can... I'm sure it'll be obvious what that mistake is. We're going to throw on an Invuln. The only reason I'm throwing on an Invuln here is because of the aggression prowess. If I get hit by a special 1 when he's being stingy and not throwing it, it can hurt pretty hard. So that's really what the Invuln boost is here for. But we are going to block and push to special 2 as much as we possibly can. Just because... if you don't have to deal with Shocker's charges, he doesn't really do that much. And here we're really trying to bait the L2, but we get caught in a dash back, and at this point I lost my indestructible boost, but luckily I was able to hit him to remove all the aggression prowess charges, wow, I said that strange, that he has, or else that L3 might have done some serious damage to me. Yeah, honestly, he had what, 3 or 4? That could have killed me. I don't think I even noticed that in the moment, like when I was doing the fight, but that could have killed me. Damn. And here I could have countered that with a heavy to remove the protection right away, but combo into an SP2 gets the fight down anyway, so no need to worry about it. We should have 2 more minis. Yeah, 2 more minis. The first one we're going to be taking is going to be Node 43 Weapon X. And we're going to be taking this with Shocker. This is a fight I've done several times. It's a pretty straightforward fight, honestly. You're half immune to Hazard Shift. You wait out the other one. And the Node is constantly giving the defender prowess from Aggression Prowess, which is just going to fuel Shocker. It's just going to give him extra charges. So even at the beginning of the fight here, where you just have to dance around and wait, I'm just going to be getting 3 charges every single time he triggers a prowess. So this is a really good matchup. Shocker versus this Node is actually really fun because in each matchup you would normally do with Shocker, this just tends to be a lot faster. And because of the way his Unstoppable works, it actually triggers after the hit, so you can safely, as long as it's a combo hit, not from a special, because a special will make him go unstoppable before you can recover too quickly. But as long as it's a basic hit and you don't do another hit after, you can get out in time, which is pretty cool. So now we go for a heavy. This is actually going to end up being an over 100 charge heavy, because when you're not hitting them, the aggression prowess is building, and even though you're draining charges from going for a heavy, you still gain more charges while you're draining them. So that actually ended up being like 110-ish charge heavy. So yeah, huge damage there. We do end the fight. I did have to come clean this fight up. This was Arnim Zola on 48. We sent a Spider Woman, and they unfortunately died twice to this Node. So I ended up having to clean it up with Shuri. I was actually assigned an empty spot on my team, and I was going to use that spot for a White Magneto. However, I had to take this, but I don't really mind having to use my slot up for this, because White Magneto wouldn't really have made a significant impact in any of my fights. But the way you're supposed to play this fight is you are going to just use your miss to get all of your heavy openings. So I'm going to be using my miss there. There I didn't actually have my miss. I thought I did. So I just went for a heavy out of nowhere, and luckily he just let me heavy him. And there he does take down from the shock, but you'll see that I finished that fight pretty healthy. And if I had to take that fight again, this was actually the only time we saw Zola placed on that Node this entire season. But if we had to take it again, I think I probably could solo it with Shuri if I just really focused on the way that I'm supposed to play the fight, which is getting my parries. Which is getting my parries and then using my heavy attack with Untouchable, and then just building up the shocks and let them tick him down. So that is it for my main. I had 7 fights on my main, and we have 8 fights today on my alt account. We're going to be starting out here on Path 6, Section 1. We have this Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock doesn't really do anything anymore. I honestly don't think there was ever really a time he was that good of a defender. I think people just basically had to learn the lesson. Don't push him to Special 2. If you bait Special 1, he does basically nothing. And that's all we're going to do. So this is the miss node. So whenever I hit a combo of 10, I can't hit them. So you are going to have to hit them once and then just dash back and wait it out. Once I do get into my L2 cycle, if he doesn't have a sovereignty buff up, because that makes him go Fate Seal immune, if he does not have one up and he does have a Fate Seal on him, then I will fail it sometimes, but not completely consistently. And then here, I can't go for my L2 because I know it's 5 hits. And then here we go for a medium. And a couple L2s. And I think we're just going to heavy here. Boom. Yeah, and that finishes it off. So, pretty clean, pretty fast fight. It was only a rank 3 Atom, but a rank 2 Atom. Or, sorry, not rank 2. A rank 4 Atom would have barely lasted much longer. We have Void here. This is a pretty common placement. People don't even really place it anymore because it's kind of solved. Mantis hard counters this. However, I am going to mess it up a little bit. I'm not going to play this perfectly. And I am going to lose quite a lot of health. So you'll see what happens. We go for a PS1 boost. And we are just going to try to get to our L2 as fast as possible. Get our ramp. But also be very careful in the combos that I'm doing that I do not trigger the debuffs. We have our Tranquilize active all the time. We are going to let that deal with the debuffs. Here, he insta-throws a special one even though he's intimidated, which is not very nice of him. But unfortunately, the first and second heavy attack hits are so close together that you don't have time to re-trigger the... what's it called? And that's the mistake we make in the fight. The Tranquilize, excuse me. But that's the mistake we made. I knew it was coming up soon, and here we just go for a heavy, and this is going to kill. But lost a little bit of health. Actually lost a lot of health just from that one mistake. Because you have to do slowed combos. I call them Omega Red combos because that's the champ that kind of made them famous. But Mantis kind of uses it in the same, like not in the same way, but uses the same kind of combo. But yeah, that was section 1. That is Mantis's only fight. She only had one fight this war. We will be using Mantis again later in the season in, I think, War 11 it is. Or is it War 12? One of those two. But now we just have a few more hood fights. We have 6 more hood fights, which is pretty cool. We are going to be starting out on path 8 here, and we're going to be taking this Galan on the first node. This is a pretty normal matchup. Galan can be a little bit annoying with Hood. He does have the immunity to ability accuracy reduction here. However, we still are going to be able to control his buffs because we can still Fate Seal him. We can still stagger him. And yeah. Wait, is he actually Fate Seal immune? It looks like he's Fate Seal immune. I didn't know that. Okay, that's interesting. So we can stagger him, but we can't Fate Seal him. And here, yeah, we just do a couple extra hits so that I can go for my Striker into my Heavy. Just, you know, just in case that Heavy attack leaves him at like 1% and a combo into this Striker. Sorry. A Striker into a Heavy would have been the difference. We just do it to be safe at the end of the fight. Here we rush into this fight because I want to have my PS1 boost active for it, and we did actually do it successfully. This is Northstar, and the first time that I took this fight this season, it actually was pretty sketchy. And that's because I did not save my Striker. That is the one difference, and we're not going to make that mistake in this war. We are going to save our Striker, and we are going to have it ready for when we want to detonate. So we've been cycling L2s. At this point, I am ready. I can go for a medium, go for my Heavy, and this does kill just barely. If I had one less bullet, it would not have killed. So we'll just say that that was on purpose. And then we have some minis. We are going to be starting out on 37, 38 on my main, 37 on my alt, and we're going to be taking this Sersi. Yeah, don't try to ask me what this placement is. I don't understand. Any normal Sersi counter can take this, and Hood is probably the hardest Sersi counter in the game. I would say he probably is. Like, I'm trying to think of someone better, and I can't. So it's probably him. But here we're going to trigger the root on her, and then we'll get a couple heavy attacks in just for free because I actually got pretty low on my bullets in the Northstar fight because you don't really have a good chance to go for some extra heavies because that would require either parrying which you can't do because it's a stun reflect, or letting hits miss, which you can't do because his medium attack has 3 hits, and it's possible that the first medium consumes all your charges and hits you. So you don't want to do that. So we just went for a bunch of extra heavies, and because we staggered the glancing, there was nothing to worry about. Here we have Deathless Thanos on 41, and we did not have the PS1 boost active into this fight as well, but to be fair, that would have been insane if it lasted for all 4 fights. But yeah, pretty straightforward fight. I don't know what Deathless Thanos is doing here. This is a fight that can be done by a lot of champions, a lot of Thanos counters. Like, I've definitely taken this exact fight with Chioth before. I'm certain I have. But yeah, that's what they placed. Here we're going to go for our heavy attack right as the protection goes away, which is just absolutely perfect. Here, I know the end of the L2 will trigger the unstoppable, but because of the way that it kind of interacts with the AI, and the AI like stays, I don't even know what state I would call it. It's as if the AI is being hit and does not realize that it's unstoppable. I don't really know how else to say it, but the enemy just kind of sits there stunned during your special attack even though they're unstoppable. So don't ask me what that means or why that happens. That was a really dumb heavy attack to go for, and I genuinely just don't understand why I would do that. But I did. And now I think we're going to go for heavy, and okay, that does finish it off. We actually end with a special 1 for style points, which is the worst special attack to throw for Hood. I mean, special 3 is pretty awful too, unless it's very specific matchup, like Do You Bleed. You would have to be fighting Do You Bleed in order for the correct Hood cycle to be go to special 3. Node 47 Dark Phoenix. Don't ask me what this is. I don't understand this placement. This is, as I've said many times before, the most hoodable node on the map. There is nothing about this fight that is not absolutely begging to be hooded. Hood shuts down every single node. And you know what Hood also shuts down? Oh yeah, her entire kit. Like, it's one of the best matchups for nodes, and also one of the hardest counters in the game, and they just let you do it for free. I don't know. I'm not going to try to understand this. They placed it, and I nuked it. That's all I need to know. That's the only thing that matters. I mean, she is a little bit tanky, to be fair, and she does throw some L2s, because I got pretty terrible Power Steel RNG there. At this point, the fight should probably already be over, but it's not. And I think we're going to bait one more L2. Yeah, we're going to bait one more L2. Here we go. We fail the route once again. Go for a heavy, which does not quite push into the immortality, but we're going to get our invisibility up. Hit, and then we do bypass the immortality. Whenever you are killing Dark Phoenix or attempting to end the fight, and you have a Fate Seal on, you have a 65% chance of failing the immortality. So only a 35% chance that she survives for another 10 seconds even. But now we have a rank 4 Sentinel on 49. There are a couple different options you can send here. I like Hood for this just because Hood is a very, very good Sentinel counter in general. He does not have to worry about the analysis because none of his damage actually gets resisted because it's all energy damage. Well, the most important part of his kit is energy damage. And you're only going to have one source of power gain on this fight, and that is going to be Power Steel. And while that does seem awkward, once we do get to the L2, it's like any normal Hood fight. You're just going to keep cycling L2s, and it's not going to be a problem. But the problem was getting to that first L2, because at this point in the fight, I think I've gone for 5 or 6 or maybe more medium attacks while I had my invisibility up, and I've yet to trigger a Power Steel. I just got really, really terrible Power Steel RNG at the start of the fight, and I remember that happening, and I was like, dude, this is ridiculous. Like, we are a minute in, I've gotten 1 Power Steel. I'm not even joking. I'm not exaggerating. Literally 1. So here we're going to get our invisibility back up. Oh no, looks like we're going to hit a couple more times. But because this is my last hood fight, you're going to notice that I'm being very, very liberal with my bullets and just letting them go. Because I don't care. Like, I just want to get the fight done, and building up a bunch of bullets and then detonating them all at once is the way you're supposed to fight Sentinel with hood. So, no complaints here. Finally getting a few power steals here. And then there we get the L2. However, we don't throw it, and that is very important. I have seen people die to this very node because they did not do the most important thing with hood on this node. And that is, don't cycle L2s unless you have invisibility. Because you ain't getting much power from power backs, I will tell you that. Not very much. A very, very tiny amount. You know what you are getting a lot of power from? Power Steel, which you can't do unless you're invisible. I've seen people struggle for a minute plus to get to Special 2 on this node, and then just throw away the fight by throwing it instantly because they didn't have invisibility. If you just wait, you're able to cycle L2s, and that's what we do there. We did lose this war, but it was actually a lot closer than we thought. Nefti, we really expected them to just blow us out of the water, and they kind of had an off war. But we deserved to lose, obviously. We had 10 deaths. That's not going to get us the win in top 5 almost ever. Sorry, not in top 5. Against top 5 alliances. But that is going to be it for the war. We now have a record of 4-4. We are on a 3-war loss streak, which is just beautiful. I have 4 deaths total, 3 on my main, 1 on my alt, and my PSR this season is 101 of 105 fights soloed, or 96%, with my main being at 48 out of 51, and my alt being at 53 out of 54. Active deathless streak of 16 fights, so it's just the last fight from last war plus the 15 fights from this war, and then a 24 fight streak on my main and a 9 fight streak on my alt. So, that is going to be all for today. I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will see you all later. Bye.